Welcome to Iraqi Dinar News, your trusted source for verified updates on Iraq's currency transformation and monetary policy shifts. As of the current date in the USA, major developments are sending ripples through the global financial landscape. After years of speculation and debate, what many believed might never happen has finally taken shape. Iraq has officially introduced a contract exchange rate, a move that signals not just intent, but action. Picture glancing at your screen and seeing a headline that reads, "Iraq's currency revaluation is underway, and an official contract rate has gone live." This is no longer internet chatter or forum-based theories. It's a documented shift tied directly to policy changes at the Central Bank of Iraq. For anyone who has held on to Iraqi dinar with patience and hope, this could be the breakthrough moment you've been waiting for. Let's break down what this all means. A contract rate in currency exchange is a preset value that's typically negotiated between central banks or between governments and large financial institutions. These rates are generally more favorable than the public rate and are often reserved for preferred investors, government partners, or select private exchange windows. Verified sources have now confirmed that Iraq's contract rate has been established at 1 USD equals 500 IQD. That's more than double the current official rate, which remains close to 1,310 IQD per USD. In practical terms, this could mean a huge jump in value for holders of Iraqi dinar. For example, if you're holding 10 million IQD, your return at the current public rate is around $7,600.00. But under the new contract rate, that same amount could now be worth $20,000.00. That's not a hypothetical gain, it's a direct result of this official shift, which indicates that Iraq has gone from planning to execution mode. This move didn't come out of nowhere. Over the last several years, Iraq has quietly and steadily laid the groundwork for a moment like this. Behind closed doors, the country has built up foreign currency reserves totaling over $120 billion, thanks in large part to steady oil exports and improved fiscal discipline. Global institutions like the IMF have taken note of Iraq's policy reforms, and the banking sector has begun adapting to international standards, including compliance upgrades and steps toward digital currency implementation. The rollout of this contract rate is a strong indicator that Iraq believes it is financially stable and ready for broader participation in the global economy. But who qualifies to use this contract rate? Historically, such exchange tiers were made available to wealthy investors, corporate clients, and select currency groups. However, recent reports suggest that Iraq may widen access to include everyday holders, people who've quietly stored dinar in anticipation of a moment like this. If that turns out to be true, it would be unprecedented. That said, participation is expected to be controlled and likely offered within limited timeframes, possibly via scheduled appointments through select institutions. In other words, the clock could be ticking once activation begins. Why is this happening now, specifically as we move through July and look toward August 2025? Several key factors have converged. Iraq's economy has stabilized considerably. Oil markets remain strong. Meanwhile, black market exchanges have been targeted and reduced through enforcement reforms. In addition, Iraq's government has introduced a suite of banking legislation designed to modernize payment systems, enable secure digital transfers, and allow for real-time foreign exchange management. Also worth noting, regional tensions have eased enough to create a more secure environment for economic rollout on this scale. Let's put these numbers into context. If you own 5 million IQD, that previously equated to approximately $3,800.00 under the 1,310 rate. At the new 500 IQD per USD rate, your dinar is suddenly worth $10,000.00. That's a 163% gain. Now imagine holding 25 million IQ that used to be valued at around $19,000.00. At this contract rate, it now hits $50,000.00. These aren't just numbers on a screen. These are tangible shifts in value that may reward years of patient investing. What happens next? That's the question every dinar holder is asking. While the government hasn't released the complete blueprint, insider sources hint at a tightly managed rollout process. Specific banks, most likely those working directly with Iraq's central bank, may offer exchange slots through an official appointment system. Expect requirements like proof of currency purchase, verified IDs, and possibly even secure digital banking logins to verify your transaction history. It's unlikely this will be as simple as walking into a branch and requesting a conversion. Everything points to a tiered and monitored environment designed to maintain control and limit abuse. Transitioning from speculation to action will require more than just holding currency. It will demand readiness. Reports say that once appointments open, they could be claimed rapidly. With limited time windows and verification hurdles, being organized may mean the difference between participating or missing out. Receipts from authorized dealers, legal documentation, and registered currency certificates could all be necessary components. The process might feel more like applying for a mortgage than exchanging money at the airport. At the same time, while most attention is focused on the contract rate, there's increasing talk about adjustments to the public rate as well. At present, that rate sits near 1,310 IQD per USD, but analysts suggest we may soon see a gradual tightening. Possibilities being floated include a reduction to 1,100 or even 800 IQD per USD, a major improvement over prior value. If this occurs, even those who don't qualify for the contract rate might see meaningful gains through a public tier exchange. The broader implications extend beyond investor portfolios. Iraq is actively positioning itself to reduce reliance on the US dollar by conducting more international trade in dinar, particularly with nations like China, Iran, and Russia. This shift toward using its native currency for global transactions is a bold move that reinforces economic sovereignty and reduces exposure to dollar-driven volatility. Establishing a higher exchange rate is a key part of this strategic transition, allowing Iraq to stand on firmer monetary footing when engaging in regional and global commerce. That also means the world is watching. The rollout of a 500 IQD per USD contract rate sends a message to international markets that Iraq is serious about reform and stability. For many years, the dinar was viewed as a speculative side bet, but now it's gaining legitimate recognition. If this rollout proceeds without major disruptions, there's talk that the rate could climb even higher in the near term, possibly to 400 or even 300 IQD per USD, depending on key indicators like oil production, inflation management, and central bank policy. As we continue from where we left off, if you're seriously considering participating in this contract rate opportunity, now is the time to prepare. Many in the know sources are saying that once these appointments become available, they'll be snatched up in a matter of hours, if not minutes. This isn't going to be a typical exchange where you walk into a corner bank branch and hand over your currency. You'll likely need to schedule an appointment with a partner institution, provide documentation of your dinar purchase, a valid government-issued ID, and possibly a digital confirmation of ownership through a secure portal. These measures are being put in place not to cause inconvenience, but to ensure legitimacy, transparency, and a secure experience for participants. Iraq's financial leadership understands that this rollout, if executed successfully, will not only reshape its domestic economy, but may also set a precedent for other nations undergoing similar monetary shifts. While the spotlight is firmly fixed on the contract rate, savvy investors are keeping one eye on the public exchange rate as well. As of now, that public rate still stands at around 1,310 IQD per USD. But whispers in financial circles suggest the central bank may move gradually to a stronger public figure, potentially 1,100 or even 800 IQD per US. Even without contract access, these numbers could provide significant upside for those who act wisely and avoid delays. The revaluation is also deeply tied to Iraq's larger economic game plan. The government has taken major steps to de-dollarize portions of its trade by conducting settlements in dinar, especially with key nations like Iran, Russia, and China. These bilateral agreements are more than symbolic. They signal Iraq's intention to assert monetary independence and reduce its exposure to U.S. currency fluctuations. If successful, this could lead to increased international demand for dinar, thereby reinforcing its long-term strength. What makes this development so historic is not just the math behind the currency value, it's the signal it sends. The contract rate of 1 USD equals 500 IQD is a public declaration of confidence. It's Iraq's way of saying, we're ready to rejoin the world stage with a currency that reflects our economic progress and national wealth. Investors who once dismissed the dinar as speculative are now reassessing their position. Some analysts even believe that if market reaction remains positive, Iraq might test more aggressive valuations, 400 or even 300 IQD per USD, though such shifts would depend on sustainable oil output, inflation control, and continued economic diversification. With every major shift comes risk, and unfortunately risk attracts deception. As excitement builds around the exchange rollout, scammers are already mobilizing. If you receive unsolicited offers promising early access to the contract rate, exclusive groups asking for fees, or anyone requesting you to send dinar through unsecured channels, walk away immediately. Genuine transactions will only occur through verified financial institutions under clear legal protocols. Always use tracked, insured, and authorized methods if any physical currency needs to be moved. A single careless step could cost you everything you've waited for. Another major consideration is taxes. This financial gain will likely fall under the U.S. Internal Revenue Service's definition of capital gains. Depending on your income bracket, federal tax obligations could range from 15% to as high as 37%, not including potential state-level taxes. Those who are proactive are already sitting down with certified tax advisors to build strategies. Some are exploring options like staggered redemptions, charitable contributions, or asset protection through trusts and legal entities. Getting ahead of the tax curve now could protect a significant portion of your gains later. Equally important is the emotional preparation. If you've been holding dinar for 10 years or more, you've faced everything from ridicule to roller coaster politics. Many people gave up along the way. But if you're still here, still holding, still watching, you're likely among the few who stayed the course. Today's contract rate announcement validates that long commitment. It's a moment that marks not just financial opportunity, but also personal endurance. In the days and weeks ahead, you'll want to monitor updates closely. Watch for announcements that mention public rate updates, exchange windows, tiered redemptions, or structured appointments. Official sources to keep an eye on include Iraq's Ministry of Finance, the Central Bank of Iraq, and potentially the U.S. Treasury if cross-border finance mechanisms begin to adapt. Follow only verified channels. This is no time to rely on rumor. Many experienced investors are looking at a hybrid strategy known as a tiered exchange. This means exchanging a portion of their dinar at the current contract rate to lock in a base-level gain, while holding the rest in case the rate improves further in the weeks or months ahead. It's a balancing act between security and speculation, minimizing regret either way. For some, the upfront payoff will be enough. For others, patience may yet bring additional rewards. This development may also bring geopolitical ripples. A strengthened dinar gives Iraq more leverage in the Middle East, allowing it to negotiate trade and defense agreements from a stronger economic position. The regional power balance, long influenced by oil but dominated by petrodollars, may start to shift slightly as Iraq gains the tools to assert economic independence. But beyond all the macroeconomic implications, this moment is personal. It's about the truck driver in Nebraska who heard about the dinar 12 years ago. It's about the retiree in Florida who put away a few thousand in hopes of leaving something extra for the grandkids. It's about the veteran in Texas who saw Iraq's future when he was stationed there and decided to believe in the country's potential. For every skeptic, there is a believer, and today that belief is beginning to pay off. So what now? If you haven't yet, get your paperwork in order. Contact a certified financial advisor, speak to a tax professional. Make a folder, digital or physical, with every receipt, ID, and official communication you might need. The people who succeed in events like these are not just lucky, they're ready. The contract rate of 1 USD to 500 IQD is more than a number. It's a doorway into a new phase for Iraq and a new financial horizon for those who dared to believe in its recovery. Whether this is your exit moment or just the first step in a broader journey, the decisions you make now will shape the outcome. Thank you for watching Iraqi Dinar News. If you found this breakdown valuable, be sure to subscribe, share it with your fellow holders, and check back regularly. The story isn't over. This is only the beginning. Your vigilance, your planning, and your patience will decide how it ends. Stay alert, stay informed, and as always, stay prepared.